What's up, heroes? We're in the middle of discipline week. You know, discipline is based quite simply just doing what you have to do even when you don't want to do it. So you've got your goal, you've got your vision, you've got your execution plan. You know what you have to do to hit your goals, but you're going to be tested. There can be times just because you know what to do doesn't mean you always lean into doing it, right? And so discipline is making the right decision in that moment. How do you lean into doing what you have to do in spite of what you want to do, in spite of what feels good or what's comfortable, in spite of all the reasons and excuses why you shouldn't do it? How do you do it anyway? And that's what discipline is. It's doing what you have to do even when you don't feel like doing it. And how do you build up your discipline? There seems like there are people that just have it, right? They just have they're rock solid pillars of discipline, and they always do the right thing in the right moment. Who are these people, right? And how do they get like that? I remember listening to a podcast by David Goggins. And if you aren't familiar with David Goggins, you got to go hear his story. He used to be big and overweight and wasn't really doing much with his life. He was just working, from job to job, doing very low level things. And one day his mind, he just flipped. And he's like, you know what, I'm doing something different. And I'm gonna go out and start running and take better care of myself and do all this stuff. And he went on to start running marathons. And so he used to be over 350 pounds. And then all of a sudden one day he snapped. And then he went off and started running marathons. And now he's an ultra athlete and runs 150 miles at a time without stopping. Like this crazy level of discipline. And it's like, how did he get like that? And so he tells his story. And one of the techniques he did what was it that allowed him to be able to overcome all the, this past version of himself to become this ultra person, this ultra disciplined person. And this technique he calls it the tale of two yous. And basically what the tale of two yous is that there's two versions of us. Imagine that there's the real us. This is the person that has the goal, that has the dream, that knows what it has to do, that has the responsibilities, that has to take care of things, that has obligations and lives up to them. Like this is the ultimate version of us. And then there's the immature us. Imagine it's like a kid throwing a tantrum. It just wants what it wants and it wants it now. It wants pizza. It wants to just watch Netflix. It wants to go out and play. It wants to just hang with friends. It just doesn't want to do anything. It doesn't want any responsibilities. It just wants to live life up to the fullest, carefree, without a care in the world, right? That's the immature version of us. And what he said was, he basically separated himself from that person. He actually even gave it a name and said, this person isn't me. And the power behind that is recognizing that that's not who he was, that when he was in a moment of weakness, where he had to make a decision, I could go for my run or I could lay here on a couch. He was able to recognize who was talking. And he said, you know what? That's not me talking. That's you. And he gave him a name, right? He said, that's you talking. That's not me. I'm gonna go for this run. And it sounds crazy, like he had this little internal voice, but he able to separate himself from the person that he didn't want to be anymore. And that allowed him to always lean into this person and make the right call. And I started to think, like, this is a crazy concept. Like, how would that apply to me? And so I got a piece of paper and I just started writing down I started defining these people. I said, who is this person? Who is the real me? And so I said, this person is strong. I like to think that I'm intelligent, goal-oriented. I'm a giver, family-driven. So I just started listing out all the things that this person is. Even if they all aren't things that I currently was, who is the ultimate version of myself, the person that I want to be? I listed out all the characteristics of that person. And then I said, okay, who is this person? Who is this immature me? And I said, well, this person is lazy. They just want to watch Netflix all the time. They spend too much time on Instagram, surfing social media. They love donuts. They're critical of people and don't always, speak the best language towards people. So I started listing out, that's all the people, the person that I don't want to be. And then here's the most powerful part. I gave him a name. So this is the real me. And I said, that person, I call him Rufus. And here's what happened. The moment I gave him a name, I was able to separate myself from that person that I didn't want to be. In that moment, now I knew who this person was. They had a name. I was able to say, actually, that's not me. That's actually a different person. And in the moment, I can say, who's that talking? Whose voice is that do I hear? When it's like, don't do that. You don't need to do that right now. You deserve a break. You're tired. You can go home early. In that moment, I can recognize whose voice is that. Is that my voice or is that Rufus talking? Rufus, is that you? You better go over there and sit down because I'm going to do this thing. So I remember one of my goals is that I'm striving to become husband and father of the year. Now, I don't know if that's an actual award, but if it is, I'm coming for it. And actually on my board every day I write, husband of the year, father of the year. I call it HOY, OY. So I'm going for the OY award. And so one day I write father of the year on the board and I say, okay, what do I have to do today? I want to take my son to the park. And I had a long day at work. I go into work, I'm filming videos, I have coaching clients and coaching programs, and I'm pouring into people all day long. And by the time I get to work, I'm just completely drained and I'm exhausted. And I remember that I committed to taking my son to the park. And I look over at my son and he's playing, he's 15 months old. So it doesn't take much to keep him content. He's in the corner playing with blocks and Legos and just throwing stuff and destroying stuff. And he's just having the time of his life. And there's a new show on Netflix. I'm tired. I got every excuse in the world. He's not going to remember this day anyway. So I'm like, okay. A voice creeps up and like, you know what? You don't have to take him to the park today. He's not going to remember it. He's only 15 months. Look, you're tired. There's a show on you want to watch. Just hang out. You deserve it. You deserve to take the day off, right? You've done enough today. And what happened was I was able to say, I committed to taking my son to the park today. The family-driven me committed to taking my son to the park today. Who is that talking? Whose voice is that talking? Rufus? Rufus, is that you? Rufus, you better go over there and sit down because I'm taking my son to the park today. I don't know what you're going to do, Rufus, but I'm taking my son to the park. And I got up and I took my son to the park. And you know what? If you follow me on Instagram, I post pictures and videos of him all the time. It's at @the.morninghero. And so you see how much my son loves swings. I mean, every time I put him in a swing set, he just lights up. It's like the best thing in the world. So we're at the park and I'm pushing him and he's swinging and he's got this big grin on his face and his arms are flailing and he is just having the time of his life and he's looking at me and he's like, Dad, this is the best thing ever. And in that moment, I was husband and father of the year to my son. When I got home that day, I had a split decision to make. I was sitting on the couch and this voice comes up and says, Jarvis, gosh, you had a long day at work. Look at him. He's fine over there playing with blocks. He will never remember this day. You can take today off. Watch that show. Watch that show you want to watch. I was able to say, who's talking? That's not me talking. That's a different person. And you know what? I don't like you and you're not who I am. Go over there and sit down. I'm living up to my commitment and I'm taking my son to the park. And so this concept of separating yourself, creating your two identities and being able to separate yourself and giving it a name, personify it, is powerful. Because now you can talk to that person as if they're a different person and you can recognize in any given moment who is talking, which one of those voices is talking in your head. So that's your assignment. Get a piece of paper and just simply draw a line down the middle and come up with your two different personalities. Who is the ultimate version of you? Write down all their characteristics, all their traits, everything they stand for, all their values, everything they represent. Write that down. And then on the other side of the paper, who is that other person? That person that's not who you want to be. that person that's taking you away from your goals, that person that distracts you, that person that gets in your way. Who is that person? And then give them a name. The moment you give them a name, you officially separate yourself. And now you can start talking, you can recognize who's talking in any given moment so that you can always make the right call and the right decision and not lean into what's comfortable, what's convenient, or what just feels good in that moment. All right. And I hope this helps you come up with your game plan, and helps you build your discipline so that you can follow through and accomplish everything you need to accomplish this year. All right, heroes. See you in the next video.